All products featuring Jungkook's face or identity are officially sold out worldwide. Yeah, 7 minutes. The fashion world, the entertainment industry, even economic analysts were made speechless. What just happened? HYBE, the giant agency that houses BTS, reportedly did not expect the scale of Jungkook's influence to be this big. In internal reports leaked to industry media, some executives even referred to using the term beyond control, because Jungkook is no longer an artist under management, but a phenomenon that has its own orbital system. The entertainment world may be familiar with the term sold out when it comes to concerts or albums. But this time, it's different. It's not about concert tickets running out in minutes. It's about an entire line of fashion products, merchandise, and brand collaborations being swept away globally without a major campaign. So what makes this phenomenon different? The answer is simple. It's not just popularity, but a blend of fandom economics, visual power, and personal credibility that Jungkook has built up over the years. And for the first time in K-pop history, we're seeing a moment where an idol is driving the wheels of the global economy alone, without promotion, without gimmicks, just by name. But the effect does not stop there. After all of Jungkook's products sold out in the market, the shares of the brands involved rose sharply. HYBE immediately got a big jump on the Korean exchange. But on the other hand, there was internal pressure, because many people began to ask, is HYBE still in control of Jungkook, or is Jungkook actually in control of the industry? This question, as strange as it may sound, turned out to be not empty speculation. Because when viewed from the data, the speed and scale of Jungkook's sales have exceeded the normal limits of consumer behavior. Experts refer to this as the Jungkook shockwave, a wave of mass buying formed due to the public's extreme trust in a single figure. And if HYBE isn't careful, they could lose control of the most valuable asset they have, Jungkook's influence. This is where the story gets interesting. Tonight, we will dissect this rare phenomenon, not in the tone of gossip, but in the style of a documentary on the spot, full of analysis, reflection, and surprises in each chapter. Because behind this global selling moment, hidden strategy, tension, and even a little fear from within the Korean entertainment world itself. Let's start with the first chapter that made HYBE barely sleep that night, because what happened was no longer an idol phenomenon, but a world economic phenomenon. It's all over in minutes. The world is not ready for the Jungkook effect. At first, everything went like a normal product launch day. Calvin Klein has just released a limited collaboration collection with Jungkook Golden Icon Edition jeans, a minimalist t-shirt with the initials JK, and a casual hoodie inspired by Jungkook's personal style while in the studio. The launch was carried out simultaneously around the world: Seoul, Tokyo, New York, London, and Paris. But in a matter of minutes, something unimaginable happened. Calvin Klein's sales system began to experience anomalies. Thousands of transactions occur per second, causing checkout systems to fail in some countries. In Japan, the CK website was inaccessible for almost an hour. In the US, traffic rose by 3,000% in just the first 5 minutes. And in Korea, the Weverse shop server actually crashed for a full 42 minutes. Not because of a bug, but because the request is too large to process. So fast that the purchase took place, logistics data even showed that some products were sold out before the system had time to update its stock. This means people buy Jungkook products before the system even realizes they're gone. In American media, reports such as Business Insider and Forbes, this phenomenon is immediately called the record-breaking fandom economy. In Korea, local media call it the new form of cultural capitalism. a new cultural capitalism in which consumers not only buy goods, but buy meaning, closeness, and a sense of belonging to the public figure. However, what makes this phenomenon truly remarkable is who buys it. The data shows that purchases are coming not only from K-pop fans, but also from general consumers who don't even follow BTS. Some buyers in Europe claim to buy because the visuals are strong and Jungkook's ads look different from other celebrities. In other words, Jungkook managed to bridge the worlds of fandom and the general market, something that is rare even in the history of global marketing. But behind those numbers, there is one thing that scares HYBE the most, that all of this is happening out of their control. HYBE does not organize product releases, does not lead campaigns, and does not coordinate digital promotions. Jungkook is running his project directly with Calvin Klein and an independent creative team that has been formed since 2024. This means that Jungkook has officially had his own creative economic ecosystem, and that's where the shift in power begins from agencies to individuals. In less than a year, Jungkook not only became the face of the campaign, he became a global business entity, an embodiment of a new trend in which artists are no longer part of the system, they are the system itself. HYBE in confusion. Are they still controlling Jungkook? After Jungkook's record-breaking sales, the atmosphere at HYBE's headquarters in Yongsan changed dramatically. Some Korean media reports described the atmosphere as tense but quiet. Senior executives are beginning to realize that they are witnessing history, but not the history they control. Jungkook is now at a level where his every move has a direct impact on the global economy. It's not just part of the HYBE, it's the new orbital center. Even stock market analysts noted that HYBE shares had risen sharply due to the Jungkook effect, but ironically, many investors asked if the company could survive if Jungkook decided to stand completely on his own. This created a huge tension in the corporate world of Korean entertainment, because all this time, the K-pop system was built on agency control over artists. But Jungkook broke that rule subtly. Without drama, without public conflict, he just showed that true influence doesn't need permission. And this makes many in the industry start to wonder, are we witnessing the beginning of the end of the old system of K-pop? Will, in the future, major artists like Jungkook become fully independent, building personal brands without relying on major labels? Interestingly, HYBE herself is now in a difficult position. On the one hand, they cannot hold Jungkook because he is their most valuable asset. But on the other hand, they also can no longer lead the direction of his career as before. Jungkook is already too big to control, and that's what Korean media is calling the HYBE paradox. If you want, I can move on to the next part of this narrative. When the world realizes Jungkook is no longer an idol, he is the economy itself, which will explore the economic, philosophical, and global social phenomena behind this sold out with a deeper and reflective documentary style. Everything changed in that moment, not just for HYBE, not just for Calvin Klein, but for the entire entertainment industry. Because the night when all of Jungkook's products sold out around the world is the night when the world realizes that Jungkook is no longer just an idol. It has become the economy itself, a new form of cultural power that cannot be managed in the old way. And interestingly, it all happened not through big promotions, not through drama or controversy, but through something very simple: public trust. The moment the sale began, the global system began to track buying patterns, and the results were truly staggering. There is no clear demographic pattern. Buyers come from a variety of age groups, professions, and economic backgrounds. From teenagers in Southeast Asia, designers in Milan, to fashion collectors in Los Angeles. They all buy for one uniform reason. It's Jungkook. There are no additional sentences. There is no in-depth analysis. The name itself is already a symbol of authenticity, credibility, and quality. It was as if Jungkook had transcended his role as an artist and turned into a guarantee of global trust. Some marketing analysts even refer to this phenomenon as the Jungkook principle, the power of an individual to trigger economic movements without conventional advertising systems. A report from the Harvard Business Review says that this buying trend marks the beginning of a new era in which emotion and digital reputation replace the power of large companies. In that context, Jungkook was an unwitting pioneer, because since his debut, he has never sold an exaggerated image or created a fake persona. Everything he performs is always authentic. From his way of singing on stage, speaking on live broadcasts, to his style of dress that tends to be simple but elegant. Authenticity is what is now the new currency in the world of global entertainment. Ironically, this concept was never considered important in the planned K-pop industry. But Jungkook proves that authenticity is the hardest power to replicate. And that's exactly what makes him irreplaceable. In fact, some big brands that used to be skeptical of the concept of idol marketing are now turning around and trying to learn Jungkook's formula. They realize that in today's digital world, one person could have a greater economic impact than a multi-million-dollar campaign. And it was in the midst of this revolution that HYBE was in a great dilemma. They are proud, but also wary. Because for the first time, the agency is dealing with an artist who is not just a star, but an independent economic phenomenon. If in the past the agency controlled the artist's narrative, now Jungkook's narrative lives beyond anyone's control. The international media called him the idol who outgrew the industry. It doesn't fight the system, it just keeps growing until the system can no longer contain it. What's most interesting, though, is how all of this doesn't make Jungkook lose his way. In the midst of a global storm of influence and capitalization, he kept to his usual routine, working in the studio, exercising, and talking to fans via a simple, unscripted live broadcast. And that's where the secret is, that the world can change, but people still trust Jungkook because he hasn't changed one bit. It is not just the center of attention. It is a mirror of honesty in an industry that is often full of falsehoods. In a broader perspective, academics are now beginning to study the Jungkook phenomenon not only as a cultural phenomenon, but also as an economic model based on human reputation. Imagine, an individual with integrity and consistency can trigger transcontinental economic movements without corporate mechanisms. It's no longer about endorsements. It's about trust-based consumption. Trust-driven consumption, not advertising. And for business watchers, this is the future of the global entertainment industry. A future in which the value of an artist is no longer determined by the company, but rather by his direct relationship with the world. If you look deeper, Jungkook's journey to this point is not something instant. He has built his credibility over the years, from his teenage years at BTS to his solo career on the international stage. All decisions, both big and small, reflect a strong consistency of character. He never stepped in with a made-up impression, but also never lost his high standards of professionalism. Each movement seemed to balance two worlds, the industrial world and the human world. And that balance is now his greatest strength. So no wonder, when the world saw Jungkook's giant Calvin Klein billboards in New York, Tokyo, and Paris, It wasn't just advertising. It's a symbol that one individual could shake up the industrial structure with the power of his own reputation. A symbol that in the new digital age, the true influencer is not the loudest in voice, but the most consistent in her truth. Now, even economists are beginning to call Jungkook a unique case study, an artist who combined culture, economic values, and moral credibility into one efficient and influential system. In their eyes, Jungkook is no longer a K-pop artist. He is a global ecosystem based on public trust, a new form of power that even large companies find it difficult to replicate. And amid all that praise and analysis, one thing remains unchanged. Jungkook never sought to be the center of attention. He just does his best with sincerity, and the world comes to him. But precisely because of that, the world could not stop talking about him. Because at every step, there is always something that shakes the existing boundaries. It doesn't just create trends, it creates new directions for the industry itself. And for HYBE, for the fashion world, even for the entire global entertainment ecosystem, one thing is now certain. They are not following Jungkook, they're trying to catch up. Shall I move on to the next section? HYBE's shock wave. When the K-pop system starts cracking from the inside because of Jungkook, it will delve into the internal tensions in the industry, the confusion of HYBE executives, and how analysts are beginning to warn that the old structure will not survive if Jungkook continues to operate outside the traditional format.